Welcome, everyone. We will wait for a few minutes for the other participants to arrive. In the meantime, please take a second to introduce yourself in the chat. And we will get back in just a few minutes. We will start slowly. Hopefully more people will join in the next few minutes so I don't lose too much. Good afternoon, first of all. My name is Stefana Kozan and I will be the moderator of today's event. I would like to start by wishing you a warm welcome to the award ceremony of the DAIDA Global Awards. These awards aim to support master graduates who, through their work, help improve the urban infrastructure and living conditions of vulnerable groups in the rapidly growing cities of developing economies. The theme of the first edition is water and development, so all the theses that you will see featured today are revolving around this key topic. Before I introduce you to the first speaker, I would like to briefly take you through the program. After this introduction, we will hear from the first speaker, Mrs. Lysel Vivier, architect, urban planner, and board member of the DAIDA Foundation. She will be followed by chief guest Dr. Anita Patil-Deshmukh, director of the Pukar NGO, after which we will invite our third speaker, Mr. Shyam Kandekar, representative of the jury and founder of these awards. We will then hear from the award winners. We will hear the award winners' announcement, and we will invite each of the winners to speak about their thesis in 5 to 7 minutes. We will end with the My Livable City publication announcement by Mr. Shyam Kandekar. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our first speaker. Mrs. Lysel Vivier is an architect and urban planner with over 30 years of experience in leading projects, both in the Netherlands and abroad. She has worked as an architect in Zimbabwe and the UK, and once in the Netherlands, she joined Kandekar Urban Design and Landscape Architecture. She became a director of the BDP studio in the Netherlands when Kandekar Urban Design merged with BDP. Here, she led the interdisciplinary design teams to find inspiring and sustainable solutions for cities in the Netherlands and abroad. Currently, she heads the design team in the Department of Urban Development of the city of Almere. Please join me in welcoming the first speaker, Lysel Vivier. Lysel, you have the microphone.
Yes, thank you, Stefana. And on behalf of DAIDA Foundation, I would also like to give you all a warm welcome to the very first award ceremony of the DAIDA Global Awards. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our foundation. DAIDA was set up 3 years ago, and it is a small foundation based in the Netherlands, but we have a global outreach. Our mission is to improve the living conditions of vulnerable citizens in cities in the developing world, and to also improve the urban infrastructure of those cities. We do that by providing support to institutions and to groups of individuals. And with groups of individuals, I mean a civic group, any group of individuals that can come together as an informal civic group and that have identified an urban problem or an issue that they would like to address. So our support is provided in the form of donations, and the donations can be used to implement a project, to educate people, to fund a research, or to fund the spread of information, for example, via books or films. Because we are a small foundation, we don't have a huge controlling mechanism. So the applications that we receive and that we grant are all via people we know or contact. And a lot of the work we do is often based on trust. We have 5 board members, and 3 of the board members have a background in urban development in emerging economies. Those are Sham Kandakar, right at the bottom of the page. He is an urban planner. We have Leo Lodder, who is a development economist based in the Netherlands, and myself, I'm an urban planner. Then we also have Stefan Sterk, who is a lawyer, and we have Siddharth Kandakar in the board, who is an expert in affordable housing in the Netherlands. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are a small foundation, but we have a global outreach. And here on this map, you can see a number of countries. You can see the places where we have supported projects. So we have countries in Africa, we have India, projects in India, and more to the east, we've also supported a project in Thailand. And we hope that in the coming years, we will be able to support many more projects, also in other developing countries. This is just a small example of a number of projects that DAIDA has supported in the past, and I would like to highlight a number of these. 2 projects were where we gave support to Pukar, and those projects is the one is in the purple circle and the other one is in the blue circle. 2 projects is the Youth Fellowship Program and the Journey Towards Dignity Program for young girls. And the chief guest of today, Anita, will be talking, I think she will also be talking about the Journey Towards Dignity Program. So I won't say anything about that, but I would like to tell you something about the Youth Fellowship Program of Pukar. That program empowers young urbanites to address problems that they come across in their cities. So the issues or the problems can be very wide-ranging. For example, a lack of medical services in their neighborhoods or a lack of clean water. And in this program, the young people receive a training in their civic rights. So they get information as to who they can contact to address their problems, and also they are advised by specialists such as journalists and lawyers. In Zimbabwe, we have a program that is in the purple circle where we support Streams of Hope, and Streams of Hope pays the school fees for a number of orphaned children, and they also organize training for people to become tailors so that the jobless youths can follow this training and then they can support themselves through sewing. Another project is the yellow one in the middle of the page, where we have provided a grant to set up an information hub for women who have been resettled from a slum in the city center of Chennai to the outskirts of Chennai. And because of this, the resettlement, a lot of these women have lost their jobs, and the information hub, which is in their new settlement, that helps them to find new jobs, and it also helps them to provide information. And in fact, DAIDA also funded a film which highlights the plight of these women, and this resulted in the government of India stepping in and also with a grant to help the women. So in this case, the grant from DAIDA was a sort of seeding fund, and it attracted an even larger grant from the government. So I hope that all of you have a sort of an idea of what DAIDA stands for and the type of projects that we support. And we hope that we will be able to support many more of these projects in the coming years. I will now hand this presentation back to Stefana, who will introduce the next guest.
Thank you, Liesl. I see we have some more late arrivals. Welcome, everybody who joined a bit later. Please take a second to introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello to the other participants. I will now like to introduce the second speaker, our chief guest, Dr. Anita Patil Deshmukh. She is a USA-trained faculty neonatologist by profession, a self-taught social scientist by passion, and developmental researcher by preference. She is the executive director of Partners for Urban Knowledge Action and Research, PUCAR. For her pioneering work with barefoot researchers in slum, she was awarded the Innovator of the Year Award from Harvard School of Public Health in 2012 and an honorary PhD from Bradford University in 2019. Let's welcome our chief guest, Dr. Anita Patil Deshmukh. Anita, the microphone is yours.
Thank you very much, Stefano, for this generous introduction. I wish to actually thank the DAIDA Foundation and especially Shyam for this honor. This is a wonderful opportunity for me to engage with young scholars from global universities on a very important subject like water and development. I also must congratulate DAIDA Foundation for choosing such a timely subject. The pandemic has really emphasized and exaggerated the need for creating equity in accessibility, availability, and affordability of water. But where did I start my personal journey in water? I'm a farmer's daughter, and I'm the first in my entire family to complete schooling and enter college. It was from my father that I learned the importance of water to farmers' lives and its deep connection to soil health, human sustainability, ecology, and economy. In later years, while being a faculty neonatologist in Chicago, I volunteered my time for a developmental organization where I made several trips to India to learn about watershed development. Watershed development is a technique that has taken centrality of space in the discourse on water management globally. Water has also become a very important source in our fight against COVID-19. Without water, there is no hand washing. And hand washing is a very effective measure to slow down the spread of virus, especially in the absence of vaccines. However, the simple act of washing hands is beyond the reach of approximately 860 million people globally, both in rural sectors as well as in urban sectors. In urban informal settlements, where high density prevents us from carrying out physical distancing, hand washing becomes even more important. On this background, we need to think of ways to make cities more resilient in long term, in line with Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which says, ensuring availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. And goal number 11, which says, making cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Looking at these, I was really delighted to read many of your research themes that explored water issues in informal settlements of Peru, to Egypt, to rivers, to ponds, and also explored rainwater harvesting in various places globally and its ecology. In PUCAR, we have explored the social ecology of water in 4 slums and we have about 4 research papers on water's quantity, quality, reliability, and cost. Stefano, may I have the slide, please? Okay, so this, I don't know how clear this is, but the slide on your left-hand side shows us, it's a GIS map of percent of household in this particular slum that purchase water. And on the right-hand side, both the slides show you the percentage of, the amount of money that people have to pay to purchase water. So I just want to give you a comparison. For 1,000 liters of water, somebody like me who lives in an apartment pays 3.25 liters in my city, 3.25 liters rupees for 1,000 liters. In the slums, this amount is anywhere from 192 to 270 rupees. So imagine the difference between the prices. Our research on water actually revealed that 95% of households in this slum did not get enough water to meet the WHO recommended minimum usage of 50 liters per head per day. And 48% of households did not even receive 20 liters per head per day, a usage level which is associated with very high health risk according to WHO. And when it came to charges, water charges, we found out that in this slum, the people paid anywhere from 6 to 26% of their average monthly household income, a spending level that can be catastrophic to some households. So this kind of money imagine, if you have to spend 25% of your monthly income to purchase drinking water, what will that do to the rest of your budget? So poor quality, inadequate quantity, enormous economies cost, cause financial stresses, job insecurity in the slum people, and it actually perpetuates the cycle of poverty. Stefano, can I have the next slide, please? So this is a water map in a different slum, and if you look at the left-hand lower side, those are the houses and the maps of community water taps. So please understand, in slums, there is no water tap in your home. It's usually either a community water tap or you have to go somewhere else to get the water. So in the left-hand side, the area which is recognized, which means these recognized areas get the basic services like water, sanitation, and electricity. So at least there are about 11 or 12 functioning water taps. But if you look at the right-hand upper corner, which is the unrecognized areas, there are barely 3 water taps functioning. So what happens to those people? How do they get their water? They have to walk all the way to the recognized areas and pay a huge amount to water mafias, who are the water vendors in slums. So I think after doing this, I'm going to turn my attention to the project that DAIDA has supported in Pokar, which I think Liesl talked about. So our first project in that is Youth Fellowship. I think Liesl talked about that in detail, so I will not go over that. I just wanted you to know that this particular project, which is our flagship project, is based upon a very seminal essay by Professor Arjun Appadurai, which is called Right to Research. And the whole idea about this is to democratize research, democratize knowledge production, change the mode of knowledge creation. So knowledge cannot be produced only by people like you and me who are very highly educated, but it can also be produced by ordinary people who are living in the slums. They may be blue-collar workers, they may be rag pickers, they may be construction workers, but even they can do research which is anchored in their own communities, anchored in the problems faced by communities. They collect evidence, and based on that evidence, they come out with a solution which they implement in their slums. So that is the unique form of this particular instrument, which we have refined over 15 long years. We have actually trained more than 5,000 youth, whom we call barefoot researchers. And this particular instrument is validated by all global universities from Harvard to Columbia to University of Chicago to Max Planck Institute of Germany. So we have done a lot of collaborations with major universities through this instrument. Stefana, could you go to the next slide, please? So this is another project called Journey Towards Dignity, where we actually train the young adolescent girls who come to municipal schools. And you may not know this, but most municipal schools in Mumbai draw some of the most marginalized students because it's free. We teach these adolescent girls about growth, puberty, nutrition, about menstrual health and hygiene, reproductive health and hygiene, but also about sex, gender violence, and child sexual abuse. With the help of DAIDA, we have so far trained almost 2,000 girls in this particular project. So this is where DAIDA support has really helped these marginalized youth and these marginalized girls in the city of Mumbai, for which I'm deeply grateful. I want to congratulate all the semi-finalists and wish you all good luck. But whether you win or you don't win, to me, you are all winners because you have researched one of the most critical subjects of our time, water. The climate change has further worsened the water issues. If you look around, droughts, cyclones, and floods have devastated all parts of the world in past few years. Water wars loom large in horizons. Therefore, we really need to make serious efforts to conserve our most precious source, water. That's what makes us what we are. We are the earthlings. So I sincerely hope that you will continue this journey in your future careers and create innovations, ideas, and avenues that will help us to sustain that precious source and that pale blue dot suspended in a sunbeam, as Carl Sagan said. And I want to quote him. He said, "Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all its vastness, there is no hint that help will come from somewhere to save us from ourselves. So it is underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we have ever known." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anita, for this inspiring talk. We will move on to the next speaker. We are now one step closer to our winner's announcement, but not before hearing from our representative of the jury and founder of the DAIDA Foundation, Mr. Shyam Kandekar. He is an architect, urban planner, and urban designer who has led multidisciplinary design teams in major urban and landscape projects in the Netherlands and India. Shyam Kandekar is the co-founder of My Livable City, an international knowledge platform that publishes magazines and books and organizes conferences and educational programs. He believes cities can only be called successful and sustainable if they can be made truly livable for all. He is the author of the book Designing for Sustainability Through Upcycling and co-author of the book Affordable Housing Inclusive Cities. A warm welcome to our third speaker, Shyam Kandekar. Shyam, you have the microphone.
Welcome to all of you once again, also from me. When I look at this moment where you, particularly all those who have finished their master's thesis I have to think of about 46 years back, when I did my first master's thesis at the University of Manchester. It looked like the world was at my feet and I was going to go out and do all sorts of things. And I think it must be with that sort of optimism. That is the phase where you are in your life, and it is wonderful to be there. What is more wonderful is that you people have selected thesis topics which really matter, which is something else than what I did. because I was really focused at that time on design. And in those days, design meant also, with besides, of course, other issues, a lot of issues related to aesthetics and stuff like that. And I think looking back, there was much less importance being given to issues which really matter to people and to the planet. And you, young people, are in a phase where you are concerned about these things, and your choice of topics shows it. And my congratulations to you all. Like Anita said, simply, in spite of who the winners are, all of you are winners simply by choosing that. If you look at somebody like Anita, then what you notice is that she was a professional in a totally different field, but of course in health, in the sector health. And she came back to India, leaving her job, and joined an NGO and continued her work actually, and used her expertise in a different way. And I hope many of you in future will do that too. So you are poised to do interesting and very important things for many, many of us. So I hope you carry on with that. And DAIDA has actually decided to institute this award, this Master's Award, also to promote that sort of research and work. Because bachelor's degrees are those where you often start very young, when you don't know what you want. Master's theses are very often that you have finished your bachelor's, very often you have taken a year or two, and then you have decided which direction you want to go. So I think many of you are poised now to enter this particular field. And you're blessed in a way because you all have been able to follow this study. There are so many thousands, if millions and millions of youth. I mean, it's the youth which Anita also just now talked about, but so many other projects which we support, where the students do not even, young people do not have the possibility to study. So be aware that you are blessed in that way and use it. Now I'll go back to the participants who came, and I will use the next slide. The jury, while the first year of DAIDA Awards was organized by IHS, the jury was totally independent, has no connection with IHS. I want to state that. And the jury constitutes Melissa Navarra, who teaches sociology at the Ateneo de Manila University in Philippines. She has a lot of experience in resettlement efforts and participatory processes related to housing and infrastructure. Besides having been with the government for a long time and now teaching, she's also director of an NGO called Jolly Homes in Philippines. So she brings in the research content, because one of the issues which we had with judging these theses were that some of them, about half of them, were related to a research and the other half were related to design issues. So we wanted a jury which could straddle both the fields somewhat. So now Melissa brings in the research bit, I bring in the design bit, and Claudio Ascioli actually straddles both the fields. He's a very experienced architect, originally from Brazil, but actually he's a global consultant. He has worked in about 30 countries in the last 40 years, advising on policy matters and housing and some upgrading, giving those advices to different governments at different levels. So the three of us, we were the jury, and we went about deciding what to do with the applicants we got. And at the outset, I'll tell you which were the issues which we faced and how we tried to solve it. This is the first year that we are doing this project. So we had this issue of comparing research and design theses, which is a difficult thing to do. The other thing was, we said to ourselves, what we do not want to do is necessarily look for the best academic thesis. What we are looking for, the fact that the universities have forwarded these projects show already there is some academic excellence. What we would like to see next to it is a link to the SDG targets, the Sustainable Development Goals. So we asked about that. We also want to see if the projects which you do might have larger policy implications, not only in the place you are talking about, but elsewhere. Are there lessons to be learned for something else? And we wanted, of course, to be certain that the projects and the subject had affinity to the mission of DAIDA Foundation, which is to help the vulnerable groups, most of vulnerable groups in the cities. There was one more issue before I go actually to show you what the shortlist was, etc., which we could not tackle and which we realized that we obviously had not been very good ourselves in giving you the information. We had asked for a follow-up project. So what we meant by the follow-up project was, from all the participants, we had asked, next to your application, next to your thesis, we'd like you to send us a follow-up project for which, for the first prize winner, we have 5,000 euros available. The idea of the follow-up project was that you would come with suggestions in which actually something would be executed on ground. Based on what information we got from all of you, of many of you, a majority of you, we realized that our communication had not been good enough, that you had not understood it well enough, and obviously the fault lay with us. So what we decided in the jury was that we said we will not judge the participants on the basis of the follow-up information they have given, because very few of them had given that. What we will do is we will give the first prize winner the possibility to come with a follow-up proposal, and we will reserve that money for him or her to have it. So that is the background to our judgment. Based on this, here is a list of the participating institutions. I think on the site, the website, you have already seen these. So they were from different parts of the world. We hope next time there are more of these universities and institutions who apply, and please spread the word with those programs where they run, where they do projects related to the developing world. And the subjects were very diverse too, but of course all related to water. And I think just in connection with time, I'm not going to go through it, but you all know it. They were all related to water and issues like ecology, climate change, other cultural issues, vulnerable groups, etc. This brought us at a certain moment, having gone through all of this, the three jury members, after a lot of consultation, we came to the conclusion that we wanted to have a short list. Actually, what we noticed was that some of the topics were being dealt with a lot of students. For example, regeneration of rivers or canals, etc. So we tried to actually club some of them together and tried to look for the best ones within certain categories. But at the end, we landed up with a short list of 8. So I'm going to show you those. But before I show you those, this is the distribution, geographic distribution of where your projects have been. So they are obviously distributed much more globally than where DAIDA works, but that doesn't matter. That's very good that we are happy that this is the case. And it is the global south, you can actually see it. This is where the projects are from. That led us to the shortlist. And I know you're very interested in wanting to show, so I'm going to show it. So there are 8 members, 8 of you we shortlisted. And these are, there you go. So Mahmoud Al-Salti from Catholic University Leuven, who did a productive scattered metropolis. It's a project about Amman in Jordan. I'm not going to repeat the titles, etc., just the places where they are. You'll get to hear from the winners anyway what happens. But these are the shortlisted. The winners will be from this list. The second is Jui Yi Hung. I hope I pronounced it rightly. Also from Catholic University Leuven in Belgium, for a project in Taichung City, Taiwan, on the outskirts of Taichung City, Taiwan. Then from Jamia Millia Islamia in India, Saib Sohaib Naqshbandi, for a project in Srinagar, India. Then from the School of Planning and Architecture, Bhopal, Sahana D, for a project of Kuom River in Chennai, India. Then on the right side, Nupur Sejpal from the University of Bombay for a project of rejuvenating old lakes in Panvel in India. Then Dominique Set from the University of Bonn for a project about rainwater harvesting in Cape Town, with focus on Cape Town, for a particular part of Cape Town in South Africa. Then Maria Valverde, I hope I pronounce it rightly, for a project about access to water in Lima, Peru. And Ishita Veda Muthu from IHS in Rotterdam on social vulnerability to extreme water events as related to a certain call, particularly for women, related to women in Kannagi Nagar, Chennai. Based on that, we as jury discussed a lot about these, and actually, very interestingly, the three juries independently came to the same person as the number one winner. The number two, number three, and number four, there we had discussions about. Why I'm saying number four, because we finally decided on having a joint third prize. So the joint third prize goes to, which means sharing 4,000 euros, goes to Ju Yi Hung from Catholic University Leuven and Syed Sohaib Naqshbandi from Jamia Millia Islamia, India. They will both be given just after I finish, together with the first and second prize winners, 5 minutes each to speak on this project. So you'll hear about them. The names of the professors who have supervised them we have also written, because we think it's important that they also be encouraged to send in applications next time. So we will be sending these, we'll be getting in touch with the winners and of course, sending the money over to them and sending these certificates. Syed Sohaib Naqshbandi. The second prize of 5,000 euro goes to Ishita Veda Muthu of IHS, Institute of Housing Studies, Rotterdam. In her particular case, it is about the vulnerable group of women and the problems they have, and she will also get a chance to talk about it for 5 minutes. Again, the name of the person, the two persons who have supervised her. And we'll send the certificate to you, Ishita Angelina Vedamuthu. Congratulations. Also, congratulations to the joint third prize winners. And the first prize of 6,000 euro, but without the follow-up, because the first prize winner has the possibility of asking for a follow-up. And that one goes to Maria Valverde of Ain Shams University in Egypt, which is a fantastic study for lessons to be learned by analyzing issues at the outskirts of Lima in Peru. Congratulations to you too, Maria Valverde. Now that I have told you all, I would like to congratulate, of course, all the winners, and I'll hand over the mic now back to Stefana so that she can carry on further. Stefana?
Thank you so much. Yes, congratulations to all the winners. It's very exciting to finally hear who you are. This is the moment that we would like to hear from each of you, from each of the 4 awardees. Now, first of all, because this was a live announcement, we could not tell anyone beforehand, so it is a surprise for everyone. I sincerely hope that all the winners are present. I've already asked you to confirm in the chat. I see some people already confirmed, so congratulations once more that you're present. To actually be able to speak about your thesis and about the research, you will need to request to speak. You will do this from the chat. Everybody should see an icon with a hand, a palm like this, that says request to speak. I really hope you can see it. If you could please confirm and request to speak. If you don't see it or there's some other problem, please type in the chat so we know how to help you. So we will move now to the first presentation. We start with Maria Valverde from Ain Shams University from Egypt. Have you found the button to request how to speak? And if yes, could the chat moderator please allow Maria to join us as a speaker? Maybe it takes a couple of minutes, as this is quite new for all of us, especially for the participants. Maria, have you submitted a request to speak? Have you pressed the button request to speak? If you can confirm in the chat, that would be great. I do not see yet a request from Maria. Oh yes, there you are. Welcome. You now have 5 to 7 minutes. We're still a bit ahead of time, so you actually could take a couple of extra minutes. And please turn your microphone on, your video on. The stage is yours. Maria,
yes,
can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You are now live, so everybody can hear you. Oh, it seems that maybe there has been a small difficulty. It's good to know that it works. Maria, if you could request once more to join us as a presenter, that would be great. And then everybody will be able to hear you, so you will join. Yes.
I can hear
Welcome. You. Yes, you can hear me. I can hear you. So can everybody else, I hope. Mm-hmm. The microphone is yours. So if you can turn your microphone and video on, and please start your moment.
Mm-hmm. I have a question about how to present the slides.
Yes, you have the possibility to move them back and forth. There's a part, so the slides, since we could not ask you beforehand what your slides would be, they have been selected by the jury, some images from your thesis that seemed most relevant. So we hope that the first slide with your name and topic in combination, like with your synopsis in combination with this images would be enough support for you to talk about your research.
I understand. Okay.
Please proceed. Thank you.
First of all, thank you very much for the award and the recognition. And I appreciate the DAIDA Foundation making this possible for all researchers and students interested in topics for development. My name is Maria Valverde. I am from Peru. And my thesis is titled Urban Waterscapes and Water Service Provision in Informal Settlements. And I aim to illustrate these urban waterscapes, and which are usually shaped by the social spatial organization of the settlement. This research wanted to contribute to the academic debates on water supply configurations, and also to bring up lessons for sustainable water access in Lima, Peru. And next, water, as we all may be aware of, is the key for the development of any human settlement. And also securing his access to improve water and providing universal and equitable access will, of course, help improving the life of many vulnerable livelihoods and vulnerable people. In Lima metropolitan area, which is the capital of Peru, it has been going through a state of water stress throughout the days, which means that it's only providing water supply with 125 cubic meters that are available per inhabitant and per year. However, the United Nations report states that a water stress area, it's the one that has less than 1,700. So it's not only about the physical scarcity that is being that is happening in Lima, although there is also multiple layers of scarcity in the peri-urban areas, where the socioeconomic factors and the political factors are manifestations of inequality between those living far away, paying the higher cost and getting the lowest quality, and facing continuous irregularity. This is the case study based in Jose Carlos Mariátegui, an informal settlement located in Lima East, and which is one of the macro zones with the most, with lacking the most access to water, and also located in one of the districts which where 40% of the population don't have access to taps and don't have access to sanitation. So my research aimed to understand how are these settlements in the periphery dealing with topographical levels, dealing with or facing and organizing community-led schemes to tap into state programs that provide public standpipes, but how is it that they are being organized? How is it govern the structure of supplying access to all of these houses and that you can see in this hillside occupation, and how also the urbanization process of informality has shaped the ecosystem in these hillside areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Maria, you still have a couple of minutes if you want to add anything else. If not, this is also okay. We can just continue.
No, I could add as well that a part of the findings in this case study in Jose Carlos Mariátegui unraveled 3 barrios, mainly 3 neighborhoods, where different levels of connection were highlighted. For example, provision by water trucks, self-provision between many different households, community provision, setting up a community network scheme, and also tapping into this standpipe, which is part of state programs. Unfortunately, the topographic levels in the periphery, as well as the location of them being at the end of the supply, highlights this differentiation and makes this as well much more difficult for the water utilities to finally reach the water infrastructure networks and the sanitation networks in these settlements. So it's important to highlight the community organization that has been developed so far in order to resist against this scarcity, and as well the opportunities of how is this collectively working to try to cope with it. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the presentation and congratulations once more. We are moving on to our second prize winner, Ishita Vedamutu from the Institute for Housing and Urban Development Studies in the Netherlands. I will replay the chat since I see the slide has disappeared, so I will just restart it for us. Right, Ishita, could you please request to speak? And our moderator will allow you to join the live room as a presenter. This might also take a couple of minutes. There we are. Thank you so much. You have the floor or the microphone. We can hear you, Ishita. You are able to speak now.
Yes. Thank you, Stefana. Thank you so much to the DAIDA Foundation and IHS for recognizing my research. And thank you to both my supervisors as well for helping me through this process. So in a nutshell, so for my thesis, I formulated a theoretical framework that I call the gynocentric social vulnerability disaster risk framework. And this framework bridges literature on gender and climate change, as well as resettlement. The word gynocentric means centered on or concentrated exclusively on women. And this is because I believe that the city is a representation or a manifestation of our lives, as urban citizens and of our communities and how we arrange ourselves. So it could be said that it is a representation of our values. And however, the 21st century urban woman does not always abide by these traditional roles, and excluding her perspective and not considering her role and needs while planning any part of the city means preventing her from having the same access and benefits to the city as a man. And it was as far back as 1990 that the IPCC predicted that the single greatest impact of migration will be on of climate change will be on human migration. And in the last 2 years alone, India has been hit by at least one major event, weather event every month. So which brings me to the case in question, which is Kannagi Nagar. So the case of Kannagi Nagar is not entirely unique. The colony shares physical, social, and economic characteristics with other resettlement colonies across the global south. And so studying this case made the framework generalizable to comparable sites, especially in countries like India, where development politics run deep. And since it's almost impossible to ensure the equality of outcome, the main objective of this framework is to provide equality in the opportunities available to the women who reside in sites like Kannagi Nagar. Which brings me to my research question, which was, what are the factors that explain the varying levels of social vulnerability displayed by women in these urban resettlement sites to extreme disaster events? I surveyed 150 women, as well as conducted one-on-one interviews and focused group discussions with the women who currently reside in Kannagi Nagar for varied lengths of time. And using the case of Kannagi Nagar, I adapted Michael Cernia's risks and reconstruction framework for rural migrants to suit the urban nature of the case, and established 4 outcomes of urban resettlement, which were the employment, health, and location, as well as the built environment. So I hypothesized that these outcomes exacerbated their exposure to these disaster events, making their livelihood sensitive to them. And my research took the view that vulnerability, or more specifically, social vulnerability, is a state within a system. And it used indicators that are properties of a system measured by their current conditions, and not just the conditions that enable impact, but also prevent the impact of a disaster. So therefore, social vulnerability served as a function of their exposure sensitivity as well as their adaptive capacity, as recommended by both the IPCC and the Sustainable Livelihoods Framework. However, the case in question is the women. So how do they fit in this framework? The general population of Kannagi Nagar is both at risk from the outcomes of resettlement as well as the extreme water events like flooding and drought. And that's why it becomes necessary to distinguish characteristics that make them inherently vulnerable to these disasters, like their age, their level of education and general awareness, their caste and religion, their civil status, ownership, family structure, household size, as well as their roles and responsibilities at home. So these variables and their relationships with each other became the basis for the gynocentric social vulnerability disaster risk framework that I formulated and applied to the case of Kannagi Nagar. So in short, what I found that the biggest factors that made them vulnerable to drought and water shortages was their built environment, coupled with their employment and income, which also was closely connected to where Kannagi Nagar is located, which is quite far away from the center of city, from where they actually could get employment. And another thing I noticed is that most women preferred to revolve and prioritize their activities as well as their employment around this water collection. And so I found that they had also kind of sort of forgotten the effects of the flood. So I did not have a significant this thing for flooding, but in the case of drought, the women were extremely vulnerable as in Kandagi Nagar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ishita, and congratulations once more. We will move on to the third place winners. So we have two speakers, and we will start with Ju Yi Hung. If you could please request to speak, just put the hand up in the chat. You have a symbol with the hand, and then you will be able to join us as a presenter. I can see a Rebecca Hung. Could you confirm if that is you? I see a Hung asking to request, but I'm not sure if that's you. You could just type in the chat. Yes, that's great. You are live now. We can hear you.
Hello?
You can turn your microphone on and your video.
You hear me now?
Yes, if you could speak up a bit. I think the sound, for me at least, is not very strong, but we can hear you. Yes, you have the microphone.
Okay, so thank you very much, the DAIDA Foundation, for the award. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to receive this. And also would like to thank my promoters, Professor Kelly and Professor Bruno, for all their dedication and time. So my topic is to refabricating Taichung's productive landscape, and is a design investigation in the coastal region of Taichung City. So the thesis focuses on the coastal region of Taichung City. It's located at the center of Taiwan. So like most of the other metropolitan region around the globe, the productive landscape in Taichung encounters massive urban developments and also government proposals that are reconfiguring all the farmlands into activities with higher profits. So as industries, they are gradually taking over the importance of the economy, the landscape and its water ecologies, they are sacrificed. So robust industrial areas rise near the coast, and also small factories began to occupy these cultivated plots, scattered and filling the fields with concrete. So this, the systematic irrigation structure within the landscape, they began to lose its primary purpose under such invasions. So the increase in rainfall, this is like the consequence of climate change that have further increased the flood vulnerability of the region. So all these chaotic circumstances, from climate, pollution, fragmentation, urbanization, and other things, they pose threats to the livability of the inhabitants as well as the environment. So my thesis was a design research project that worked across number of scales, from territorial to urban design. So the concept was to have the opportunity for nature to weave the ecology into the rigid geometry of the irrigation system through a process of landscape transformation, and to create new forms of nature as well as social economic activities. So through all these reconfiguration of the geometry, the ecology can be accentuated to work simultaneously with the urban demands and also the climate crisis that are to be faced in the future. So the approach can be seen as an initiation of natural processes, and then gradually reconquering the landscape to form a flexible mosaic pattern, and that it is adaptable to future necessities and to create more space for water. So these dynamic mosaic pattern will correspond with flooding severity also throughout time and then in different phases. So together they allow native vegetation to adapt to wetland ecosystems. And moreover, building typologies also will be renovated gradually according to population and economy demands. So flood resilient architecture will therefore replace the existing ones. So eventually the new urban morphologies and typologies will be developed to create a resilient way of living. And thank you.
Thank you so much. If this is all, yeah, you could still have a minute or two, but if this is all, we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you. We will move on to our last presenter, Mr. Saeed Suhaib Naqshbandi. I hope that I pronounced it correctly. If not, I apologize. Please request to speak. So put your hand up in this hand symbol, and you will join us as a presenter. Yes. We can see the request. Oh, I'm afraid. Just a second. Right, I'm going to eject a couple of the past presenters because we do have a maximum number. And now we should be able to hear you. Could you try to speak? Sayed? You should be able to speak now. We've accepted your request as a speaker. Maybe connection takes a minute longer. Yes, you have joined the room. Can you hear me? Could you please try to speak?
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
You are now a presenter. We can all hear you. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, DAIDA Foundation. I am extremely grateful to you for selecting my thesis. I am grateful to my mentors at Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi, India, particularly Professor Nisar Khan, Professor Iqtidar Alam, Professor Intikhab sir. I'm extremely grateful to them for guiding me throughout the thesis process. So my thesis is based in Srinagar, Kashmir. Srinagar lies in the western Himalayan region. So this region is basically a landlocked region, which is drained by a single river system that's called the River Jhelum. And if we see in this region, we have this practice of traditional water management practice of making water channels, which are locally called as Call's Head. So what had happened since basically this region, this landlocked bowl-shaped Valley of Kashmir has a flood history since last 2000 years. But this region has prospered since then because it has developed its own ingenious and indigenous technology, which is a process of making calls. So what they used to do, they used to connect various water bodies, and they used to harvest that water for the purpose of their irrigation and all other purposes. So what has happened in the current scenario, those calls, the manifestation of that past wisdom has been converted, has come under the urbanization pressure, and they have been converted. Most of the calls, most of these water channels, they have been converted into roads. They have been converted into land passes for providing the housing needs of the city. So the implications are very serious. So we have had the largest flood disaster in 2014, in which the whole valley of Kashmir was inundated. So my vision of the thesis here was to re-establish. What I mean to re-establish is, first I wanted to re-establish the linkages, the human linkages with water. So if we are reconnecting the water system basically with the with humans, we will be achieve our larger goal, that is the resilience, which is also portrayed in SDG goals. So that was the vision. I wanted to re-establish the human linkages back to the water, and the second vision was to basically one of the major water canal that was converted in 1975 into a major arterial road. I wanted to develop a strategies in which we will be able to restore that water canal, so that the settlements which are along that water canal will be able to re-establish their linkages back to the water system. So if we see these water canals, they are manifested across the entire valley of Kashmir. So the part that I have undertaken in this thesis is sort of a microcosmic. So the problem lies in the entire valley of Kashmir, whether that be an urban area or a rural area. The part I have undertaken in this thesis is a portion in a urban area. But if we can provide we can have develop strategies in this parcel that will be applied across the region of Kashmir. So that was the primary goal of mine during this thesis. And when I'm re-establishing this lost human water linkage, then it will start a regeneration process in the entire portion of the Srinagar. And it is because of these water channels, the Srinagar, the Kashmir was in till 90s. The Kashmir Valley was called as the Venice of East. It was because of these water channels. The Valley of Kashmir was very popular. So my goal here was to re-establish that human water linkages. But thank you.
Thank you so much. Congratulations once more. We have now heard all the winners. So it's time to move on towards the end of our event, fortunately. And I would like to invite once more Mr. Shyam Kandekar for the announcements regarding the My Livable City publication. Shyam, you have the floor.
Okay. Just 2 minutes more or 3 minutes more of your time. I wanted to let you know that DAIDA will be collaborating with My Livable City, which publishes these magazines, for the organization of this event from next year onwards. These magazines, My Livable City, basically deals with all the topics. Actually, these are some of the issues which we have brought out in the last 6 years, and it deals really with the issues which you have discussed in your projects, and the broader issue of making cities livable for all, and the accent is on all. What My Livable City has also agreed is that we will publish the 4 winners, their thesis projects. Each of them will be given 2 pages, and in our July issue, we will publish them. So we will get in touch with, request actually to the 4 winners to get in touch with us and arrange so that we can give you the constraints of how to submit your article and the drawings, etc. So that is, I hope, as a good start for you people. I wish the the young people who now go out into the world all the best. And we will be, and I wish all the professors and faculty members who have guided them, I wish that they will again next year help us, send us some of their other interesting projects of other students, the newer batch. The topic for next year's DAIDA Global Award is going to be the inclusive city. So it's a broad topic. We will talk about it. This is, by the way, the image which has just now come is the way our magazine looks, My Livable City looks. So this is where we will publish your article. The topic for the next year is going to be the inclusive city. And what we would like you to do now is, if you want to, if you're interested in applying for this award next year, your department is interested, university is interested, please follow it at mylivablecity.com or email to academy@mylivablecity.com. Then we will get in touch with you and proceed further. Thank you to IHS for organizing this year's event. Thank you, Stefana, for leading us through this. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with this particular event. Very, very happy with it, that it has taken place.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. We hope you enjoyed it as well. We will come back to the registered participants with an email, with a follow-up email after the event, where you can rewatch the ceremony and just the links to get updates further. So yes, indeed. Thank you so much for participating, and have a nice day ahead. Goodbye.